Saraswati Devi Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Shri Advaita Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama. So again, 21st of February, Friday, and we like to honor the Bhagavad Gita with the Gita Mahavira prayers. If some of you have your own copies, you can get those out, and those who do not, you can share copies. How many of you need a copy of the Gita Mahavira? You can share. You can share? What's your name? Here, I don't have, I forgot to just pass these individuals out. I don't have, but you have? It's no problem, they're not here. I just didn't bring the plastic protection sheets this time. Okay, everybody have? Yeah, you have. Okay. Everybody set? How about you, Rosemary, can you have a copy of this? Yeah, I have. All right. All right. Before we do start on the prayer, though, we have some new people and some guests. So our tradition is to write the name on the slate. Do you have your slates? So we have visitors. That way, the regular participants can meet you, and you can meet more friends while you're here. You're visiting?
She is here from our place, Boise, Idaho.
Oh, you're from Boise. Welcome.
Yes,
Nice to meet
Radhika
you.
and Sugopi.
Super. So write your names nice and large on your slates. All of you. Do you have a slate? Do you want a slate? Okay. Very good. Our movement is a personal society. Krishna's a person. You're a person too. So when we don't know each other, we have a tendency to forget that we're persons. So please write your name, and then you can hold it up, and we'll just take a second to go around and. Our process. This is our process. Actually, it's multisensory. We hear, see, say, and write, and that way we get better retention. Please write your name, nice and large, so everyone can see who you are. That way it's like your name tag. So over here we have Shakshi, Purush, Das, and then we repeat.
Shakshi, Purush, Das.
Right, this is Shravanam, Kirtanam, and then Vishnu, Smaranam, and all It's the tradition, right? It's the tradition. And next to him is, this is Ram Nama, right?
Ram Nama.
Everybody has to repeat?
Ram Nama.
And you see it, right? Sensory in Kali Yuga is essential. 4 things. I see it, I hear it, I say it, and I write it. And our memory improves dramatically. I think most of the people are here because of that. They know it takes more than. Okay, and sitting next to him is Neela Lakshmi. And you have to hold it up for all the other. Is it Neela? Lakshmi. She works in the bookstall in the Samadhis. Isn't that your friend? And we have 3 people from Boise. These are neighbors of Aruda. Okay, very good. Aruda's the neighbor. Okay, and this is Shamasaki, everybody, right?
Shamasaki.
Shamasaki. Very good. And now we have a little one next to her who looks very, very bright. What's her name? Is it Subhadra? Sugopi. Oh, Sugopi. Oh, Sugopi. Very nice. Sugopi. What a cute name. Perfect. And your mommy is who? Sundari?
Sundari Radhika.
She makes such nice names now. But in the old days, they were just giving names with the material energy, but now the mood is let's go internal with the names. Sugopi and Sundari Radhika. Okay, very good. All right, and next to her we have Gaurangi. Right, it's a Vajitanya name. Very good, Gaurangi. And next to her we have Kamala. All right. And next to her we have Radhika Priya. They're sisters. Sisters who live in Vrindavan. Right? And now I think you know the family by now. You know you have the father, Anand Mohan. Everyone's who's that?
Anand.
And his son?
Raga.
Right, we've known them for 3 years, and now Krishna has brought them to Vrindavan to stay. Super. Same way with you now. They broke to Krishna, pulled you in. Wonderful. Okay, and next is Shupriya. She walks in the temple area and the picture stand. So some of these devotees, you'll see them on a regular basis, doing steady, very sincere seva. Very sincere seva. And this is Ekanta. And your last, so it's Ekanta Bhakti. One You'll see her too, she's a book distributor. So we've got 3 people doing distribution here. Okay? And Rasamrita? Everybody?
Rasamrita.
Raga. And the little one, Neela, is he sleeping? As soon as we start lecturing, you'll hear the echo over there. Okay, are we all set there? Neela Madhava. Yeah, this is Neela Lakshmi and Neela Madhava. Who this year, by the way, started our year with birthdays on the same day. They go on January 6th. Okay, are we ready now to get started? We'll go to our Gita Mahatmya. And again, whatever we do, we give people a bonus. We try to give devotees a bonus. We not only discuss the material, we try to give them skills so they can remember and reflect more easily. Skills. So one learning skill, we are teacher learners, it's a teaching skill also, is that we try to establish a seed for what we want to remember. A seed is one small thing, right? Like we have the chakra sloki, or we'll have mantras and there'll be a bij, right? So a seed expands. But when we study, we actually compress. So we get it down to a seed, and then we expand. We have the anchor for remembering. Okay, so we give everybody quickly the 7 seeds of the Gita Mahatmya, and we do signals. We're multi-sensory, we use the body. So your first seed is go. It's a word. Go. Okay, and you can, don't be afraid, you can do the signals too, because actually it's fun. Go. That's it. And your second seed word is stop. And your third seed word is
Wash.
And your fourth seed word is read. And your fifth seed word is never. And your sixth seed word is drink. And your last seed word is service. Okay, we'll say them. We'll run through really fast. Go, stop, wash, read, never, drink, service. Okay, now we've been planting the seeds. Now they will sprout into the sloka. All right, so repeat after me. One who recites this holy scripture.
One who recites this holy scripture.
The Bhagavad Gita.
Bhagavad Gita.
Achieves the abode of Vishnu.
Achieves the abode of Vishnu.
Go to Vishnu, that's the word go. Which is always free.
Which is always free.
From the mundane qualities.
From the mundane qualities.
Based on fear.
Based on fear.
And lamentation.
And lamentation.
These are concomitant with material life. Fear and lamentation. Text 2, our seed word was stop. Well, will we stop? We'll find out now. One who is regularly engaged.
One who is regularly
In the
engaged
study of the Bhagavad Gita.
in the study of Bhagavad
And the
Gita
practice of pranayam.
and in the practice of pranayam
Is never affected.
is never affected
By the reactions.
by the reactions
Of his past misdeeds.
of his past misdeeds.
So as we engage in the study of Bhagavad Gita, we stop our karma. We go to Vishnu, we stop our karma, and let's see what we wash. All right, text 3. By daily taking a bath in water.
By daily taking a bath in water,
One may cleanse himself.
one may cleanse himself
From impurities.
from impurities.
But if one takes a bath even once.
But if one takes a bath even once
In the sacred water of Bhagavad Gita.
in the sacred water of Bhagavad Gita,
For him the dirt of material life.
for him the dirt of material life
Is altogether vanquished.
is altogether vanquished.
Very nice. So the dirt is washed away of material contamination. The Bhagavad Gita, just by studying it, cleanses the dirt. Text 4, seed see how. The Bhagavad Gita is meant for careful recitation.
The Bhagavad Gita is meant for careful recitation.
And then there is no need
And then there is no need
for any other scripture.
for any other scripture.
Because it's directly emanated
Because it has directly emanated
from the lotus mouth
from the lotus mouth
of the Supreme Lord.
of the Supreme Lord.
Now I want to say a special word of appreciation to Rama. He's over here using his small finger to write. This is our secret. His son has been helping me come up with a brochure. And it has been proven in courses that they charge $500 to $1,000 for, that if you underline with as you read, you increase your rate and you increase your comprehension. Because you focus, so try it. Now first we were using what the book said, use your index finger, but we switched to Krishna's pinky finger. So let's see everybody hold up his hand, her hand. Got it? Now you just try it as you go along. Because it's a pacer, it helps you pace regularly so you don't, space out or slow down. Okay, and music metronomes like that, tick-tock, tick-tock. And the second thing it does is it keeps the mind, which we'll hear about today in chapter 6. The flickering mind, it helps it focus. So you try it. We had a testimony of one adult from Bangalore who took Bhakti Shastri. And he said the minute he started using his hand, the course became easier. So, if we have an adult telling us that who's like a PhD, it's got to work, okay? Everybody got it now?
Yes.
All right, we'll see. And it even recommends, I've been reading more carefully, it says you should use your hand for all of your reading, because then it becomes automatic. And they have stories in the book of children who were doing very poorly in school. And they just taught them that simple secret. And they wound up at the top of the class. So, what do you think about that? Sugopi? Die! We got her to smile. She's sitting there looking at me. What's this crazy thing? This is not an ordinary program.
She's homeschooling. She's also homeschooling.
She's a homeschooler. Good for her. Good for her. She's been spared. Okay. Now we go to text 5 with the secret weapon. All right? By drinking the Ganges water of the Gita,
By drinking the Ganges water of the Gita,
the divine quintessence
the divine quintessence
of the Mahabharata,
of the Mahabharata,
emanating from Lord Vishnu's lotus mouth,
emanating from Lord Vishnu's lotus mouth,
one will never
one will never
again take birth
again take birth
in the material world.
in the material world.
How does this work? Did it work better this time? You were concentrated. At least your minds were on the paper. That we know, right? Okay. Text 4. We're going to see what we drink. All right? All the Upanishads are compared to a cow.
All the Upanishads are compared to a cow.
And the milkman is Sri Krishna,
And the milkman is Sri Krishna,
the son of Nanda.
the son of Nanda.
Arjuna is the cow.
Arjuna is the cow.
The great nectar of the Bhagavad Gita
The great nectar of the Bhagavad
is
Gita
the milk.
is the milk.
And the fortunate devotees
And the fortunate devotees
of fine theistic
of fine theistic intellect
that's you. Okay? Are the enjoyers
are the enjoyers
of that milk.
of that milk.
Now, in this translation here, we have what's called a metaphor, many of them. And we'll be talking about this when we do our program, so all of you are our trial people. Metaphors are figures of speech that compare. Now, a simile is also a figure of speech, but a simile uses the words either like or as. What does a simile do? Uses what two words?
Like or as.
A metaphor does not do that. Your son told me it's a lazy simile. It means it doesn't, it's just a direct comparison. Direct. So we can say Krishna is the sun, or we can say Krishna is like the sun. So which one is the metaphor?
Like
The sun is the sun.
He is the sun. Which one is the simile?
Like
Like the
He is
sun.
like the sun. Okay, let's try one more on Radharani. Radharani's face is the moon.
metaphor.
Radharani's face is like the moon.
Simile.
Very good, you got that. Now here, we have quite a few metaphors. Which one is our first one?
Arjun, Upanishads.
The
Upanishad.
Upanishads, what are they?
They are
They're a cow, right. And what is Krishna? He's
Milkman.
a milkman. And what is Arjuna? He's a cow. And what is the Bhagavad Gita? The nectar, and that's the milk. And the devotees are what?
Fine
They're
taste.
just enjoyers. That divine estate there, that's just a synonym, or just description of what they are. We don't have a metaphor or simile there. So now, be aware of this wonderful poetic device, because you will find it makes writing and reading very rich. Like when you're writing, when you use it, it makes your writing rich. And when you're reading it, it enriches your appreciation for what you're reading. Okay? So we're going to keep an eye on metaphors and similes from now on. Okay? Now we're going to go to service, our last seed word. There need be only one scripture.
There need be only one scripture.
Shri Krishna's divine Gita.
Shri Krishna's divine Gita.
Only one Lord.
Only one Lord.
That same Krishna.
That same
The
Krishna.
son of Devaki.
The son of Devaki.
Only one mantra.
Only one mantra.
The chanting of his holy name.
The chanting of his holy name.
And only one duty.
And only one duty.
Devotional service.
Devotional service.
To that Supreme Lord.
Unto that Supreme Lord.
Shri Krishna.
Shri Krishna.
Now you see, the end gives us our appreciation for all the gifts we received. In 6 texts, it's all been recipients of mercy. In the 7th text, it's thank you, Krishna. And how do we thank Krishna?
By service.
By service.
Yes.
Devotional service.
And look how generous he is. He's giving us his abode, he's giving us freedom for action, he's giving us cleansing of the material contamination. He's saying one Gita is enough. He's saying you don't have to take birth again. He's saying you'll get the ras from drinking the nectar of the Gita. So we should be appreciative and do what?
Service.
Devotional service, which is our duty, constitutional. Okay, so now those of you who have the copies there of ours, we collect those. And now do the overview of chapter 6. We will have chapter 6 of the Gita. And you will need your little 1881, if you have that, you can select those. Isn't there? Here. So from we had first study skill we've had so far, right? Identify some seed word, it can be from the text, or some other word that's simple, right? To remember. And of course, multisensory, repeat, hear, see, say it right. We've also tried to now establish ways to appreciate the text more nicely, technically especially. So now our process is working on levels from general to specific. From what?
General to specific.
Right. If you pick up a book, such as this one, on the first page you will see we're giving you a skill now, because we'll be talking about this. In reading classes, where they charge a lot of money, they tell you that you should go through a book in an overview fashion in about 15 minutes. Right? So here, what's the most general thing about the book?
The title.
Title.
The title. What is this book?
Bhagavad Gita as it is.
And what you do is you examine, if you were to buy a book, right? You examine the title, and what's at the bottom?
The author.
The author.
Author's name.
Right. You want to know who wrote it? Who wrote this book?
A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada.
Okay. Then the next thing you do,
You got the back
you
side.
check the back. Right? And then on the back, they repeat the title, they give you a picture, and they'll give you usually a summary statement. Right? They want you to buy the book. So this is their sales pitch. But it's more than that. It's a summary statement of what you will be finding in the book. So a smart reader We want you all to be smart readers of the Shastras. He will do that. And usually there will be testimonials. Who has approved this book? Or who else used to read this book? Right? So that makes sense. So we're working from general to specific. Okay, so now I want to get more specific. So I turn the inside and I see, sometimes there'll be flaps inside. They'll have more there. This one doesn't have flaps. Some books will have a flap. And there'll be more about the author or something else. Okay, then the next thing they tell you to do, you'll get more testimonials. You'll see what the features of the book. You'll see the inside title page. All the books pretty much follow the format. The next thing smart readers do is check what?
Chapters.
Contents. Right. Now the contents is the outline of the book. Someone had to think about what's in the book, structure it. Right? So, how can this help us? Who would tell us? How will this help us?
If we need some specific information, then we can go to the same.
Right. And not only that, what the master teachers do is they,
individual
you
chapters.
see, yes, you see the chapter titles,
Yes.
you see the summaries. So the next skill is they have you memorize the skeleton of the book. If you don't know it, you memorize, or at least you get some idea how many parts, how many chapters. So you have your map. You don't get just the way the writer wrote it. How did he write it? He figured out how to know Krishna spoke this, right? So here you will find the title, the reference, number, and you will find a summary in essence. This is another skill. How do I take a whole chapter and write it in 2 sentences? That's a very good skill, isn't it? You can do that. All right. Then another thing they have students do is they will perhaps read just first lines of paragraphs, depending on how much they have to go through, or check units. So they have them go through the books in about 15 minutes so that they have a general idea. Now, it's a fact, if you were to, in 15 minutes, spend that time on the summaries of the 18 chapters, you'd have some idea. Okay, so that's a little tip when you're looking at a book, or anything. You memorize the skeleton. So let's do that with our chapter 6, okay? Take out 1881, and also take out your study guides. This is the Bhakti Shastri study guide, and you can see that the professionals do just what we told you. And you'll find now the overview breakdown with chapter 6. Does anyone have one of those? The overview breakdown for chapter 6 is on the page 45 of the Bhakti Shastri study guide. And you will also find in 1881 a small mind map. A mind map is a visual representation of information. It's graphic. It's called a graphics organizer. Okay, so you have 2 things now. Do you all have your study guides open? And have you all turned it to page 45? 45. So now in conjunction now, we will look at the skeleton or a visual graphics representation of chapter 6. And we will also look at the summary. Now this is what we call progressive systematic study. And you see how the experts have done that, have they not? They've given you overviews and breakdowns. And those are meant to help the smart student. Okay. Because you all want to get the utmost benefit out of your study and out of your time. So now let us shift to our, you all have magic slates. We call these your iPads. We don't have a fancy iPad for you. So now we are going to do the writing session. Do you have your slate? Do you have your slate? So on your iPad, you're going to do what you would do on your computer at home. You're going to reference the page in the place. Right now we are in what? when we open it up. And we are going to the 6th chapter. And the cursor will show us, right? This has
47
so we
verses.
see the place and the size. So how many slokas are in this?
47.
47. Very good. So we are in what book?
Bhagavad
In
Gita.
what chapter?
6th chapter.
And what subject?
47.
47. This is something you can easily memorize. Now, if you look at your 1881 graphics organizer, you'll see in the center, the title is?
647.
Yes, what's the title of this chapter?
Dhyana Yoga.
Dhyana Yoga, and in the middle of the graphics organizer, you will see 647.
47.
So it's easily retained, assimilated and retained. So now you know that. This is going to be 47 slokas. Now on your graphics organizer, because you have two ways of seeing it, in the book, you see it in terms of lines, right? You have 6 topics, each summarized. I'm sorry, 5, forgive me, 5 topics. In your 1881, how many dots do you see?
5.
5. You see 5 circles. So the circles now give you a visual representation in a mind map radiant format, which is an alternative and proven to be fast and easy. Mind maps are easy. We try to come up with easier ways to learn that are scientifically researched. It's not whimsical. So now, on that map, we have seen 647 in the middle, and we've seen 5 circles around it, right?
Right.
We're going to represent those 5 circles on our computers with 5 dots. So now we're switching to a lineal approach because most of us have small working areas on our screens. Now this is an easy way to retain information that most people might not undertake. And if they do, they might find it tedious or difficult. But if you go about it, it should be easy and it should be fun. It should not be difficult and tedious. Learning is best remembered if it's something easily done and certainly not dry or boring. So now we have 5 sections, subtopics in this chapter entitled Dhyana Yoga. Okay, so that much we know. Now we're going to see the size from each one and the sections. Now this one is I remember, and I don't have my other charts here because we're sort of moving at 2 paces. We're doing Bhakti Shastri, and then on the SMSs you get, we're going over the year. But this is an interesting chapter because the numbers are 9, 18, 9, 9, 9. No, I'm sorry. I think it's 9, 18, 9, 9, 2. Yeah. Okay. 9, 18, 9, 9, 2. Do I have that right? Or is it?
Yeah.
It's a 19. So you have everything is a 9, and 2 times 9 is 18.
Yeah.
So you think of memory tricks. So we have 9, 18, 9, 9, 2. Now someone may say, well, that's not so important. But what's wrong with knowing it? Especially if you're trying to find information. And especially if you want to be knowledgeable about the Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada said we should know the Bhagavad Gita as the lawyers know the law books. Because the Bhagavad Gita is the law book, coming straight from Krishna. We should know it anyhow. It is our survival book. 9, 18, 9, 9, 2. Now, erase your board, and without looking at either your visual graphics organizer or your text, put in 5 dots and put the numbers under them, the corresponding numbers. See if your memory is good. Okay? Quickly. First, let's see who comes in second. Third, second. Third, fourth, fifth. Okay. Good. Did she get them right? Good. All right. Everybody do it quickly? How's Neela doing down there? You did that? Okay. All right. So now you know. 9, 18, 9, 9, 2. Now we want to find out, well, what are in those topics? What is this chapter is called Dhyana Yoga. I'm going to find out here. So let's put this a bit. I'll put it back on my slate. And I'll put the numbers. 9, 18, 9, 9, 2. Now, we gave people a seed word for each of these. It's really a fun one. 3 of them say yoga, and 2 of them say yogi. So we say yoga, 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 yoga. And we say yogi, yogi. All right, that helps. Repetition is a very helpful skill. If I repeat something, it strengthens it, right? Harinama, Harinama, Harinama. Yoga, yoga, yoga. Now that's our starting point. Now we can add more so we know, well, what's the difference between the yoga, and the yogi. So now it's going to be easy. What do you think about this? Is this easy? Good girl. She's a learner. She's good. She's going to agree. All right. In the first one, we have yoga. These are hard words. Yoga Rusha and Yoga Ruda. Now we have Ruda. Everybody knows Ruda. All you homeschooling. So that's a memory trick. Ruda. And I'll bet she got that name because she was a yogi in her life. To have those 2 boys, right? She must have done something different. Yoga Ruda. So we know a Ruda. And Rurukshu, Rurus, I don't know about those. I've heard they're in the lower planets, but I don't think they say they're more envious than snakes. But anyway, we have Yoga Rurukshu and Yoga Ruda. And what's the word after that? Practice. Yes, you have to practice Krishna consciousness. You can't just talk about it. It's a cultivation. So our first topic is Yoga Rusha and Yoga Ruda practice. Okay, you got the first one down?
Yes.
All right, we got that one down. All right, let's turn our slates this way and let's make our symbols. Yoga Rurukshu and Yoga Ruda. And underneath we draw a line and we're going to put where this is. 1, 2. So now we really know where we're going to find out about the different levels of the Ashtanga Yoga process. Okay? Now you're getting very legal about this. You really, like lawyers now, you know where to find the code. So I know Yoga Ruruksha, Yoga Ruda, 1 through 9. Do what we call replay, refresh, erase, and do it without looking. Second time, walk through it. Everybody got it now? Now you know what the first 9 slokas are all about? Yoga Ruruksha and Yoga Ruda. 9 through 9. Those are 9 slokas. All right, now see what we're doing is we're laying out we're blocking it out the way Krishna did, the way the writers have done. We're blocking it out, and now it's being fixed in our minds. Anchored. Let's look at the next topic. The next topic is stages in yoga practice. And you'll see that on your little wheel too. You'll see the little wheel has it. But this is called stages in yoga practice. So sometimes we do a symbol. Stages in yoga. And we have the word again. Repeated. What's the word that got repeated? Yoga. 2 words got repeated. Yoga and practice. So that helps us. First it was Yoga Rurukshu and Yoga Ruda practice. Now it's Yoga stages and Yoga practice. And now we will start at 10 and we will go where?
27.
27. From 10 to 27. This will tell us how to do this. Some of us here might say, oh, let me try this type of yoga. But after reading it, I don't think we will. Even Arjuna didn't want to do it. Okay, do a refresh, erase your board. and put this a second time. Try not to look at your charts or your wheels. Now, is this implanted now, everybody? Is that what you see in your mind? Is this helpful?
Yeah.
Yes, because once we start reading, you'll see these images. You're creating a samskara, a positive one. Images of where are you planted. Let's look at our third topic. Remember the word yoga was coming up 3 times?
Yes.
So we're going to find it again. Right, we're going to find it again. And let's see what this one is. Perfection of yoga. And what is it? What is that going to be?
Perfection of yoga.
Realization of Krishna
as
as the super soul. Oh, that is the goal. Obviously, you're not doing it just to suffer. You know, sitting up there in the mountains doing all this meditation just because you want to suffer. There has to be a goal. So the goal of this process is what? Realization of Krishna as the super soul. If you attain perfection in Ashtanga Yoga, this is the next rung on the ladder. The yoga ladder will take you to the top objective, which is Krishna. Okay, but this process is difficult for us in this age. So we're going to put a star here for perfection. Right? This is perfection of yoga. And what is that?
Realization of Krishna as
So your
the
signal, this is who?
Krishna.
Krishna as the
Super
super
soul.
soul. So that's our third one. And this is from what? 28 to
36.
36. And these are even numbers. 28,
36.
9 slokas here. Remember, it was 9, 18, 9.
9, 2.
And this one is perfection of yoga practice. Realization of Krishna as the super soul. 9 slokas. Okay, do a replay on this really fast so you get your samskara set. Do
28.
I have the right number? 28 to 36. 28 to 36. All right, we have only 2 left, and these are yogi. Yogi. Right. Now, the next one pertains to us. The first 3 are beyond our capacity in this age. Most of us could not do Dhyan Yoga. Right? I think you'll all agree. Lord Chaitanya knew that. This one is why this chapter is relevant to us. Because if for some reason we do not complete or perfect in this lifetime our yoga practice, we want to know what will happen to us at death. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Everybody here, I think you're all conscious enough to know we have to die.
Yeah.
The minute you take birth, guaranteed you have to die. So the question comes, what will happen to me at death? That's why we're studying. We want to ensure an auspicious destination. And if we can't complete it this lifetime, this section will give us indications of what happens at that time. So that's important to everybody here. From the time you're 10 years old, how old are you, Gopi? 10. 2 10-year-olds. We have a 3-year-old over here. It doesn't matter. You may be 60, 70, 80, 90. Everybody has his time. So you have to think, wow, what's my destination? Arjuna's wondering, what will happen to me? And he's pretty advanced, and he's Krishna's dear friend. So what to speak of us, right? So that section now is what is the destination of the unsuccessful yogi, right? Where's he going to go? And that is from what section now?
37 to 45.
37 to
45.
We have 2 odd numbers here. 37 to 45. And this is very often quoted, pertinent, and often comes up on examinations. what is the destination of the unsuccessful? And it doesn't necessarily mean he was a fall down or something like that. It takes many lifetimes of practice to perfect oneself. Many, many lifetimes. Don't think we just, we're going to do it in 10 minutes. Unless you've done it all the time before and only 10 minutes were left. You're sure 10 minutes. Okay, do a replay on that really fast. What's the destination? Now you're really getting to be lawyers for chapter 6.
Yeah.
You really know where everything is, right?
Yes.
Now we have only 2 verses for the last yogi. Right? And this one, we put a star again. He's the topmost yogi. And this is Krishna's opinion. Of all the yogis, he's described in 6 chapters the yoga ladder. He has described the yoga ladder, and this 6th chapter ends that section. The yoga ladder, rung by rung, karma yoga, sakam karma, nice karma yoga, right? And dhyan yoga, ashtanga yoga. He's defined all the rungs, the gradual, progressive, rung by rung. But now he's going to tell you, you've come to the top, and what's at the top?
Topmost yogi.
Topmost yogi. And what are the sloka numbers for that?
46
Yes,
47.
46 to 47. 2 slokas now. So now you have the structure of this chapter. So we're now going to go around the room and we're going to see, I'm going to ask all of you, first of all, let's do a replay on the whole thing. Let's do what is the topic and the section for the first one. We have 5 topics, right?
Yes.
What's the first one? And where is that?
1 to 9.
1 to 9. Okay? And your second one was what?
Stages of yoga
Practice. And where's that?
10
to 27.
10,
27.
And listen, remember these numbers, we're going to go around the room. This is really going to exercise your brains now. Okay, and the third one was?
Perfection of yoga.
Realization of Krishna
as
super soul. This is the yogi, once he comes, he sees the super soul, he sees him, but now he realizes his highest realization, because this leads us into the next 6 chapters on Krishna. So this book is quite logical. First 6 chapters are yoga ladder, next 6 chapters knowledge of Krishna, and the last 6 chapters are Gyan. This one's in the middle. It's all about Krishna, but we've got to get up to that point. So now, this section, perfection of yoga,
Perfection of yoga.
realization of Krishna, where are we starting here?
28 to 36.
28 to 36. 8 slokas. And the next one is what?
Destination
Of the
of
unsuccessful yogi. Guess what happens if we don't finish this lifetime? There's always a chance. We're not quite done. And where's that going to be? 37. We'll do 45. Okay, 37 to 45. And 4 plus 5 makes 9. Try to think of some ways to help you. Okay? 3 plus 7 is 10. Now, our last one. Topmost yogi. Topmost yogi. And we have 2 slokas for that. 47. 47 is a key memory verse. Try to get that one. Okay, so now you got the. So now we play our little game. We go around the room, and we start with. You'll say 1, and then you'll say 9, and then she will say 10, and you will say 27, and she will say 38, and you will say
37,
36, and you will say
47,
57, and you will say
45,
and you will say
46,
and you will say
47.
47. And we'll start again. Well, I'm just telling you what you're going to say, because some of you are in
She's
shock.
saying 45. Okay, so 46,
Okay,
47.
and start Shuka with 1 again,
One.
and 9, and
10.
just say 1 more, because this, this really have to be sharp. Now, 27, and you're back to, what's 28. 28, we're just 28. We'll start again. You got the idea?
Yes.
And it's musical chairs, because you're not always stuck on the same chair. You have to get up and think. So your first number, you say 1. 1.
10.
27.
27. 28. 36.
37.
45.
46.
47. And 47. Good. That's it. Now Shuka will say 1 and 9. 10. And Rasamrita will say. You said.
10.
You said 9.
See,
She said 1 and you say 9. Oh, she said you're 10 and you're 27. And now you're 28 and you are 36. And you are 37 and you are 45 and you are 46. And you are okay, and you are
1.
1.
1.
9.
10.
10.
11.
No.
It's not that easy. Gotta go in verse by verse.
27.
1, 2, 3.
27. 27.
Well, he knows the verses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can't really tease him too much. He's way ahead of us. Okay, so what was that? What were we saying? 28 and 36 and 37 and 45 and 47 and 1.
9.
9.
10.
10.
27.
27.
36.
Did she say 28? Did
Yeah,
she
she
say
said
28? If you say 36, and you will say
37.
37, and you will say
45.
45, yes, and she will
46.
46. 37.
1.
1, and we'll
9.
9, and we'll stop there. Okay. Now your mind's really jumbled. But everybody was awake, and so nobody got off to sleep. All right, now what I want you to do is turn to a person next to you and tell them all these things. The Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, has 47 slokas. The title is Jnana Yoga, right?
Yeah.
There are 5 topics. The first topic is Yoga Virukshu and Yoga Ruda 1 through 9. You give them everything we've just learned in about 1 minute. You've got 1 minute. Get ready. Get set. Go. Okay, so they
Realization. Krishna is also. And
One. Stop. Right?
28,
You all got it?
28,
You all have the structure now. Have the samskara. The sixth chapter. Now, we are going to ask you now to look at, you do this, I'm just not going to do it all. I want you now to learn how to be able to think. You'll see under chapter 6 a general summary. Now in a general summary, what is done? It's like a thesis statement when you write. The main points are all put into a combined sentence. Right? Instead of separate sentences, now we have 5 topics and we know what they are, we know where they are. We're going to see what is a general statement now, the thesis statement for the whole 6th chapter. Because this is how the experts think when they do it. And if you know what they do, and you study this way, what happens? You learn how to do it. You learn how to do it. Many famous writers, how did they become famous writers? They used to study what famous writers did. And for you little ones studying, Prabhupada's personal formula for becoming expert at the age of 5 in reading, grammar, and philosophy was to do that with the Krishna book. Take 2 books, 2 blank books. In one you read a little bit, you copy it down, then you close it and you go to the next book, and whatever amount you can remember, you write it. And you check it for spelling, punctuation, understanding. And then you go back and you do more, and you do that. Prabhupada said, he told Chandrika that. She was head of the Gurukula in Dallas. She personally told me. Prabhupada told her that, he said if a child, even if it's a small amount of material, if 1 hour a day a child did that with one year, he will know the philosophy, he will know the language, and he will know grammar, punctuation, spelling, everything.
If he reads and remember and just write by what he remembers.
Yes,
And check the spelling and,
Yeah. He will
so,
master the philosophy.
with the Krishna book.
Krishna.
Yeah.
See,
5.
1 hour.
And it's true. Personally, he told you, and then when I read in a high school competency book on how to be writers, they have an exercise in there. And they said many, many
Yeah, I
famous
see
authors
it.
did that.
Yeah.
What do the painters do? They go to the museum. And they sit there in front of the Louvre, and they sit in front of the painting, and they copy it. Because you pick up the energy in that association. You become intimately associated with the writer. Intimately. So it works. So let us now become intimately associated with this summary. Let us analyze this now, because we're giving you skills. You can go to a lot of classes and, hear topics very well received, but if you have the skill, then you could also reach those levels. That's the idea. Okay, so let's take a look at the summary here. On your slates, I want you to look through the whole thing and write down, don't say anything out loud, just look at it. Use your hand, person. Slide it along. Now, on your slates, I would like you to write down what you think are the key words.
Of each
For
type.
the summary,
In the summary, just the first one.
chapter 6.
In the first 5 chapters. Now, here's another trick. We're going to be sharing this at the retreat. Ask 6 questions when you read. Who? What? Say who?
Who?
What?
What?
When?
When?
Where?
When?
Why?
Why?
And how?
How?
And as you read, apply those questions to the words. So we say in the first 5 chapters, desires. So this is what?
Which?
Which one? Or where? Right?
Or where?
Where, right? Now who?
Krishna.
And what has he done?
Explain.
Explain. Okay, and what did he explain?
Buddhi yoga.
Buddhi yoga. And that is
Working with consciousness.
consciousness fixed on him. How?
Without
Sorry.
desire.
You'll see, if you apply those thinking words, suddenly you will remember. Because reading is actually, better reading means better thinking. Better reading means what?
Better thinking.
And these are thinking words. If I can think of if I can read a word and say what thinking word applies, you're actively reading, and it will make sense. So now we know where. In the what? First 5 chapters,
First 5 chapters.
Krishna has explained
Explained
yoga, working with consciousness, fixed on without
desire.
It actually has laid in his, that is the 5th chapter really. But before that he has explained what? Sankhya, Karma Yoga,
And
yeah, 3 things. Sankhya,
Karma.
Karma, yeah. And what are they?
Processes.
Processes
Liberation.
go where?
Liberation.
Liberation. And he gives a synonym. Well, what are they?
Stepping
Stepping stones to the goal. Which is the goal?
Krishna
Krishna
consciousness.
consciousness. So now it's a little easier to remember this, because otherwise if you just read it, would you remember much?
No.
So you know that in 5 chapters you're going to hear about what kind of yoga?
Buddhi.
Buddhi. You're going to come to Buddhi yoga. That means working in
Krishna
consciousness. How? Without
fruit
fruit of desire. What else has been previously explained?
Sankhya.
And what are they going to give? The goal?
Liberation.
And what's a synonym for them?
Stepping
Stepping stones. And what's the goal?
Krishna
Krishna consciousness. Okay, so you know the summary now.
Yes.
Turn to your partner and tell them that, in your own words. Turn quickly and tell them the summary. Don't look at the book. You tell them what you just understood. Quickly. You'll see, you'll be very easy to see.
Working with Krishna without stepping
First function, that's why yogas are
Okay? Did you find that helps? Because when you're actively reading, it means you're thinking. And when you're thinking, you understand and you remember. And you can explain. Okay? Now, let us do this very quickly in the next few minutes, because we want to go through each text. Because what we're doing now is we're establishing the structure. But we want to see the flow. We want to go through all the verses. Find myself caught here. Okay. Now, I will read aloud, and then I want you to think as we go. I'm going to try 1 a minute. We're under Yoga Rurukshu and Yoga Rudha. Follow along with your pacer. At the end of the 5th chapter, so now that's a where, right?
Yeah.
And continuing on to the 6th chapter, that's a where. Krishna, that's who. Explain what?
Dhyana
Yoga. what?
Necessary.
In other words, work is not given up. In all the chapters, don't give up your work. The point here is that even in Ashtanga Yoga, you don't give it up at the beginning. What did Prabhupada say when he came to the West? Work now,
Samadhi later.
samadhi later. Why did he say that?
Because we cannot stop
They
working.
can't do it. Work now, even in the Ashtanga Yoga chapter, the Yoga Varuksha stage is work. So when devotees sometimes come to Vrindavan and think, oh, we just want to chant. If they don't have the adhikar, it won't work. It won't work. Because they're not on the platform. This is a very important point. All right, now, the next point. When one becomes what?
Accomplished.
In what?
Academic
That
studies.
means accomplished. He ceases all disturbing mental what?
Activity.
And comes to the stage of?
Yoga.
Yeah, so Yoga Aruda is the stage of perfection. Now that has to come after working in even the Ashtanga practice, external. So now you got the key words here. Our key words are in the 6th chapter that Krishna is the goal from Dhyan Yoga, but in the early stages you do what?
What?
You work. And when you're accomplished, you do what?
You work on it.
Meditate.
Yes, you meditate, and that's Yoga Ruda. So you know those points. Okay, now let's go to the stages in yoga practice. I'm going to ask who, what, when, where, why questions, not just say the word, okay? Having described the what? Of the what?
Of the
stages.
Of what?
Ashtanga Yoga.
Who?
Krishna.
Does what?
Next.
The what?
The practice of
Those stages. Now how?
by practicing
Practicing
yoga
yoga, how?
with determination,
How?
controlling your mind,
And how?
and fixing on
How many of hows were there?
Four.
3. What were there? Determination,
controlling
controlling the mind,
and
and
fixing
fixing
on
on the Okay, so what are the 3 again?
determination, controlling the mind, and fixing on
Determined. Control your senses and do what? Fix it on the super soul. Those are the practices. One attains what?
the stage of
And what's a
perfection.
synonym?
Samadhi.
Wherein one does what?
Enjoys unlimited transcendental pleasure.
So you know determination, control of the mind,
Fixing.
and fixing it on the super soul. And what's going to be the result?
One attains the stage
Perfection.
of
And what do they call that?
Perfection.
Samadhi. And what's the result of samadhi? What's the benefit?
Enjoys
Unlimited
unlimited
transcendental
pleasure.
So now you got a picture of this section. Okay, we're going to do now quickly the perfection of yoga. After describing the what?
Yoga practice.
Of what?
Fixing the mind.
On the what?
Self.
Who?
Krishna.
He does what?
Explains
Realization of who?
Yogi.
Yogi. Now, who?
Srila Prabhupada
Does what?
explains.
Okay, now we have a quote here. A Krishna conscious what?
Yogi.
Is the perfect
Seer.
seer. Why?
Because he sees Krishna
Is Krishna seated where?
and everyone's
Yes, this is important. Because at this level, one will not degrade himself. You won't degrade yourself. There is a story about I don't know what line, Ramanuja or something, and he had a disciple who was told to get married, and he didn't want to stay with his wife. He really wasn't situated for it. And he said, no, you really should play out your grihastha role. And he said, no, go stay with your wife. So he did for one night, and then he came back, and he said, he said, all I could see was the super soul in her. And the man said, renounce, forget it. You can't do it. He said, I should see Paramatma. Yeah, said my wife. I see Paramama. So this, at that stage, you don't degrade. You will never treat anybody badly. You can't. Paramama's there. You won't exploit, you won't abuse, you won't anything. It's Paramama. You see that? That's a very, very important point. You see Krishna in everyone. Thus he sees all living entities how?
Equally.
Equally. Yes, this is the key word. How?
Equally.
Equally. Why? Because Paramama, he sees Paramama, he sees Krishna. He doesn't see differentiate. You see, the problem in the material conception is I see different living entities. They are different, but they're also one in quality with Krishna, and they're side by side. So ultimately, you're dealing with Super Soul and Krishna. Arjuna rejects what?
The Ashtanga Yoga
system.
Why?
and
Why?
because his mind appears uncontrollable.
Yeah, so remember you have to have determination, control your mind, and fix your mind on the Super Soul. Krishna does what?
Assure Arjuna
And that it is what?
possible
But it's possible how?
by constant practice and detachment.
So that's often in a test. What are the two words?
Constant
Constant
practice and
and
detachment.
It's difficult, but possible. That's important. Now, let's hear what happens to the unsuccessful yogi. Who
Arjuna,
is what?
doubtful
Where?
about the
The
destination.
destination of whom?
Unsuccessful yogi.
But who?
Krishna,
Assures whom?
him,
That whose
the yogi's
next birth, that's his destination, will be what?
auspicious.
Giving him what?
Another chance for self-realization.
Yes. If you've been practicing, don't be alarmed. Even if you have to take another birth, you'll continue. It will be auspicious. Our last one. Who?
The topic is
What?
Krishna.
Concludes what?
This is version
Of what?
Ashtanga Yoga,
By doing what?
comparing yogis to karmis,
Yogis and
and
Karmis. So he's comparing the different processes. And then who?
The yogi.
Yogi is what?
superior to all.
And best.
Yogi is
Right? As the
Bhakta,
and how?
who are devotees of Krishna,
Things of Krishna. How?
worshipping him
How?
in full
With
faith.
full faith. So you have three things here. He thinks of Krishna, he worships him, and how? With full faith. All right, now let us take out our yellow book, and we're going to see the flow of these verses. Because now you have filled in more leaves on the tree. You have drawn the branches and the trunk. Thank you for coming. I hope you found this helpful today. You're expert already. She knows all. Okay. Now we have the tree trunk. We have the main branches. We drew in the twigs. Now we put in the leaves. How many leaves are there in this picture? 47 leaves. And we will see how they open up, they flow. So turn to Jnana Yoga. It's on 62 of your photocopy of the verses. Is everybody getting a clear picture of chapter 6 now? You'll find when you start reading it's not so difficult. If you do this preliminary, they talk about gardening. In gardening, they say you should have a $50 hole for a $2 plant. Why a $50 hole for a $2 plant? Does it make sense to anybody who garden? If you just put a plant right in the ground, and you don't prepare it, it won't. Especially if the ground is, either sandy or it's rock hard clay. So what does a gardener do before he puts the plant in? He digs a hole, he'll put in nutrients, he'll put in topsoil, Maybe he'll put some rocks underneath for drainage.
Cow dung.
Cow dung. $50 hole for a what? $2 plant. Plant will go. Now many of you maybe have tried raising Tulsi. Makes a difference if you put Tulsi into the ground and it's like rock hard, or the soil's too sandy and the water goes down. She won't do so well. So they put her in a little pot with special soil, rocks at the bottom, cow dung maybe at the top, right? They'll spend more time on the soil with the little plant. Because if the soil, the preparation soil is good, the plant will do what?
Good.
Flourish. So if you do your preparation as we have just done, will the 47 verses be so obscure?
No.
No. You're just putting the leaves in now.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so 9 verses now. Again, we have here a summary.
Yes.
Let's go over the, what's the first what?
Ashtanga Yoga.
And we have MM.
Mechanical
meditative. MM, this is alliteration. Mechanical. It's not natural. It's mechanical meditative what?
Practice.
What does it do?
Controls the mind and the senses.
And does what?
Focuses concentration on
Did you
Paramatma.
remember that from before?
Yeah.
Controlling the mind and senses? And do what? So now we have repetition here. And who was Paramatma?
The
This
super.
is
In the form of the Lord.
In the heart.
Now what is the result?
This practice culminates in samadhi,
Which is
full
what?
consciousness of the
Full
Supreme.
consciousness of the Supreme. That is samadhi. Full consciousness of the Supreme. That's the result of the Ashtanga Yoga practice. Control of the senses, fixing the mind on the Super Soul, seeing the Super Soul as the Lord. Okay. Now, in our verses, what we're going to do is I have circled certain words which we have on other charts as being the key word. So we're going to run through 47 key words really fast. In 61, the key word is mystic. Repeat the word.
Mystic.
We're going to find out what is a mystic. It's not somebody who just eyelids flap or something half closed. Number 2, our key word is linking. What is it?
Linking.
We're just going to run you through fast. In 6.3, our keyword is neophyte.
Neophyte.
Neophyte. You don't have to write these down. Just follow with your hand, because I'm doing what we call a stepping stone. We're doing stepping stone. Neophyte.
Yeah.
4. Elevated.
Elevated.
Elevated. 5. Deliver.
Deliver.
6. Enemy.
Enemy.
7. Conquer.
Conquer.
8. Pebbles.
Pebbles.
9. Advanced.
Advanced.
10. Secluded.
Secluded.
Right, now when you do this, you get stepping stone words, because these then help you understand each word. Remember we had mystic. You remember some of the stepping stone words, enemy, pebbles. They stick. Kusha.
Kusha.
And another, this is a double verse I put purify.
Purify.
And 2 double ones, straight,
Straight.
and meditate.
Meditate.
And they rhyme. What do they rhyme? Straight,
Straight, and meditate.
You should sit straight when you meditate. And 15, I circled kingdom.
Kingdom.
And then 16, sleeps.
Sleeps.
And 17, mitigate.
Mitigate.
Mitigate. And 18, discipline.
Discipline.
Oh, disciplines. And 19, lamb.
Lamb.
Lamb. And 20 to 23, I have 3 words. Samadhi,
Samadhi.
joyous,
Joyous.
and freedom.
Freedom.
And samadhi, joyous, and freedom. And 24, I put determination.
Determination.
And in 25, I put step.
Step.
26, I put flickering.
Flickering.
Then I put 27, qualitative.
Qualitative.
Qualitative. Now we're going to another section. Remember 27, 28 is a new section. I put service.
Service.
Service. And then in 29, I put everywhere.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. And in 30, I put lost.
Lost.
31, I put circumstances.
Circumstances.
32, equality.
Equality.
63, impractical.
Impractical.
34, wind.
Wind.
And 35, curb.
Curve.
And 36, unbridled.
Unbridled.
That ended our other section. Remember, we went from that one section from 28 to 36. Now we're going 37 to 45. Unsuccessful.
Unsuccessful.
48, ribbon.
Ribbon.
That's a good, that means something that's been driven away, like a cloud, they disperse. It's driven away, ribbon. Doubts in 39.
Doubt.
In 40, auspicious.
Auspicious.
41, aristocracy.
Aristocracy.
42, transcendentalist.
Transcendentalist.
43, revives.
Revives.
44, inquisitive.
Inquisitive.
40, I'm sorry, that was 44, 45, washed.
Wash.
46, and we have in that the last two verses, ascetic.
Acceptance.
And 47, highest.
Highest.
Okay, so now that's another little trick. When you're reading, make stepping stones in each of your slokas. Let us go back to the beginning now, and we're going to read together. I'll read a section, and then when I stop, you say the word. Fill in. The Supreme Personality of
Godhead.
said, one who is unattached to the
Fruits
of his
God.
and who works as he is
Obligated.
is in the renounced order of
Life.
and he is the true
Mystic.
Right? He's not a guy that just sits there. He's working with without the attachment to the fruits as he is obligated. Not he who lights no
Fire.
and performs no
duty.
Yes, that is not a mystic. Not by Krishna's opinion. So now you know what Krishna says. Who's the mystic? 6.2. What is called
Renunciation.
You should know to be the same as
Yoga.
or
Linking
oneself with whom?
Supreme.
O son of
Brahmanu.
For one can never become a
Yogi.
unless he
Renounces
desire for sense
gratification.
So now we know what a yogi is. Right? He's linking oneself with the Supreme. That's a yogi. 6.3. For one who is a
Neophyte.
in the
Eightfold.
yoga system,
Work.
work is said to be the
Means.
and for one who is already
Elevated.
yoga, cessation of all material
Activities.
is said to be the means. So now we get the two stages: work and then cessation. 6.4. Now he's describing it further. A person is said to be
Elevated.
in yoga when having
Renounced
all material
desires.
He neither acts for sense
gratification.
nor engages in
Fruitive activities.
This is elevation. I don't act to elevate to my senses or engage in fruitive activity. Now in 5, we're going to find out what's important. One must do what?
Deliver.
Himself with the help of his
Mind.
Not
Degrade himself.
Yes, the mind will do one or the other. It's either going to deliver you or degrade you. The mind is the
Friend.
of the conditioned soul and his
Enemy
as well. So
as
now he's got 3 verses about the mind. He's your friend or your enemy. Let's find out what you want. For him who has conquered the mind is the best of
friends.
But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest
Enemy.
So what's the secret?
To be friends with the friend.
And how?
Control
Control it. If you don't, it's your
enemy.
and he's living with you all the time. An enemy is a person who's looking for a way to finish you off. Let's just say somebody doesn't like you, and he's with you all the time. That's pretty depressing. Guess what your mind is?
Enemy.
It's with you all the time, and it's up to you to make it what? Friend or
enemy.
You can't shake him off. You leave this room, he goes with you. So you say, okay, are you going to be my friend or my enemy? Or one who has conquered the mind. The super soul is already reached, for he has attained tranquility. To such a man,
Happiness,
and
distress,
heat
and
and
cold,
cold, honor and
dishonor
are all the same.
are all the same.
He's not affected. He's in touch with super soul. Now, why does it say that? Because is super soul affected? No. Is super soul anybody's friend or enemy?
No.
He's neutral. So if you are in touch with super soul, what will you be?
Neutral.
Neutral. And you will not be affected by duality. See, this is the secret. If you're in connection with Krishna, or you're in connection with super soul, you don't see a duality. Because they don't. You're unaffected and they don't see that way. But if you misidentify with the body and the mind, what would you see? Duality. It's him or me. It's hot, it's cold. It's happy, it's distress. So why is one urged to practice yoga?
To control the
To
mind.
transcend duality.
Yeah.
And what's the result? Tranquility. What do you want? Duality or
Tranquility.
peace? A person is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi or
Mystic.
when he's fully satisfied
Satisfied.
by virtue of acquired
Knowledge.
and
Realization.
such a person is situated in
Transcendence.
and is
Self-control.
he sees
Everything.
whether it be
Pebbles,
stones, or gold
as the same.
He's not attracted. He's aloof. That's a peaceful state. A person is considered. Now, this is where you see things as equal. Now, what about people? That's harder. A person is considered still further when he regards honest,
Well-wishers,
affectionate,
benefactors,
the neutral,
meditators,
the
envious,
envious. Whoa, that's hard. Friends and
enemies,
the pious and
the sinners.
all with an equal mind. Oh, that's very advanced. Is that not very advanced?
Yes.
It's very advanced. But that is the platform of transcendence.
Others, equally envious and friends, the advanced devotee, they will not be affected by the envious person.
When Prabhupada, when they were bombing in India, and the lights would go out, and then some reporter was challenging Prabhupada, and he said, "There, see, I told you. If a bomb's coming, what would you say?" Because they was trying to get him to say a political thing. And Prabhupada said, "I say Krishna's coming in the form of a bomb." He saw Krishna. When Gurdas Babaji was being pelted by kids with stones, he said, "Krishna, stop it." They're sitting on the absolute platform. That's a high state. You can't imitate it, but it's the goal. Now, stages in yoga practice really fast. I'm going to go through what you do. This is easy now.
Yes.
Everybody ready?
Yeah.
Ready with your book? You got your book, Raga?
Yeah.
You got your hand on it? No, you don't. I was not keeping my eye on you. It's a big text. This is my fault, because one thing a facilitator has to do is if my supervisor walked in and saw him not doing anything, whose fault is it?
Yours.
You're responsible. I'm responsible. When I was getting trained in teaching art in America, our supervisors walked in unannounced, and they had a checklist, And the first item was all of the students are meaningfully engaged. And we never knew they were coming. So he was not engaged, he was sitting there. That's not his fault, that's everybody ready?
Then,
You see what happened, Raghav? You just lost valuable human form of lifetime. That you worked lifetimes to get this body. Every minute that we lose is irreplaceable. You have come through so many species of life to come to this form. And the minute you let it go by with nothing happening, it is considered by Shastra the greatest anomaly, the greatest loss. Is it not?
Yes.
Yes, Shastra's the greatest loss that you can perform in your life is to lose one moment, not in Krishna consciousness. That's the greatest loss. Shastra, they're quotes. All of them. So, for your sake and all of us. Let's see how we practice yoga. A transcendentalist should always engage his body, mind, and self in relationship with the Supreme. He should live how?
Alone.
In a
Secluded
place. So now the first thing is a secluded place. He should always do what?
Carefully.
Carefully control his mind. Now see, Raghav needs to learn how to do what? Control his mind. You're going to read this section because this is yoga. Why are we doing this? Because we have to control the mind. It either shifts into neutral or it goes somewhere else. And is that going to give you success at death?
No.
No. He should be free from
Desires
and feelings of
possessiveness.
So this applies to these children here too. Even these little ones. Their minds are really, you be around a little kid, right? Like this little, right? Their minds are everywhere. Everywhere. Powerful. It's training. What does Krishna say? With practice and to control your mind. You'll be a yogi. Otherwise you'll be a bogey like everybody else. You'll have to serve something. It will be your mind and your senses, and you'll be dragged here and there, and you will fail at death. It's your choice. Yogi, bogey. The mind is your friend or your enemy. Ask yourself, what did my mind just do? Nothing? Or something I shouldn't have done? Even worse. To practice yoga, one should go to a
Secluded
and lay
place.
what?
Lay
Push grass on the ground. And then cover it with what?
With
Deer skin. Now this is obviously not likely for any of us. We don't have deer skins or kusha grass maybe. And we're not going to find a secluded place in Vrindavan anymore even. The seat should be neither too high nor too
Low.
and should be situated in a
Sacred
place. Okay. Now that's good. Vrindavan's sacred. That's good. The yogi should then sit on it very
Firmly.
and practice yoga to
Purify
the heart by controlling his
Mind.
Don't be a watch,
Senses.
everybody. And most of these people, are you using your helper here?
Yes.
This helps you control your mind. At least follow the path. Senses and activities and fix the mind on one
Point.
I want to see everybody's eyes riveted to that page. Because if it's not, your mind is somewhere else.
Yes.
The mind can do one thing. That's it. And if it's not here, where will it be? Somewhere else. Is that common sense? So just check it out. Check yourself out. Check out these kids. Because those of you who are teaching your kids, you have to take it on that he obviously needs to train his mind. And a little bit her too. 10 is not too early. Is there any guarantee she's going to make it to 11? Anybody have a guarantee?
No.
Do you have a guarantee?
No.
know, you were in that area where that one little famous girl, she left her body in an airplane. Right? Famous child. Right? Nobody's got a guarantee. You don't gamble. Don't gamble with your life.
No, you weren't there.
Doesn't matter how little you are. Don't gamble. And if you're a parent, it's your responsibility to teach them, don't gamble with your life. Too hard. The yogi should sit on it very firmly and practice yoga. Yoga why? To what?
Purify the
Purify the heart.
heart.
How? You
By
purify the heart.
controlling
By controlling the mind, senses, and
activities.
fixing the mind on one
point.
Right, that's right. Use your pointer and do what with it? Fix the mind, everybody. You're all doing that? Yes. Okay, we want to see the eyes there too. Because if the eyes are somewhere else, where's the mind?
Some other
It's with it. You know, they say you walk into the temple, and sometimes the temple's overwhelming, you know. Just focus.
Instead of focusing on deity, we focus on other things.
Yeah, but you can fix the mind on one point. That's yoga. Unsustained. Trance means it's like a stream of honey on Krishna. Nothing else. That's samadhi.
Not
Very elevated state. That's perfection. We're just trying to keep it from
Yeah.
jumping here and there. One should hold one's body, neck, and head in a and stare steadily at the tip of the
No.
we don't try that, but still we should be fixed. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind devoid of
Fear.
and completely free from
Sex.
one should
Meditate.
on me within the
Heart.
and make me the ultimate
Ultimate
goal of life.
Because that's how you're going to get there. If you want to get on a plane and you want to go to Vrindavan and the plane starts going off track and takes you to Calcutta, are you going to make it to Vrindavan? Delhi? No. Fix it on the destination. Fix it, because that's how the mind, you will go where your mind goes at death. At death, you will go where your mind goes. That is yoga. That is a fact. It's your choice. And you decide, where am I going to buy my ticket? Thus practicing constant control of the body, mind,
and activities.
the mystic
Transcendence.
mind regulated, attains to the
Kingdom of
That's
God.
your goal. The kingdom of God, or the abode of Krishna.
Krishna.
By cessation of material
Existence.
That's what we're trying to do. Every one of us has to die. Every one of us will have to take another body. You are responsible for the kind of body you will get. That's it. Right now you're in a good position. No guarantee of anything though. There's no possibility of once becoming a yogi if one eats too much or eats too
little,
sleeps too much or does not
Sleep enough.
He who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can
Mitigate.
all material pains by practicing the yoga system. So these two verses talk about regulation. That's the first way to control your senses. You can't, the first thing Krishna says in the previous chapters, regulate the senses. Don't eat too much, don't eat too little, don't sleep too much, don't do too much of anything, too little of anything. When the yogi, by practice of yoga, disciplines his mental activities, he becomes situated in transcendence, devoid of all material desires. He is said to be well established in yoga. That's yoga. Yoga is not just sitting down and trying to do some exercises to lose weight, or look beautiful, or be strong, or, that's not. Yoga is fixing the mind on the goal. As a what?
Lamp.
In a windless place, does not waver, so the transcendentalist whose mind is
Controlled.
is always steady in his
Meditation.
transcended self.
Self.
Okay, now we're just going to finish with this last one, because this is very beautiful. The previous ones were establishing the externals, right? We saw external practice. Go to a sacred place, sit with your, that you can see anybody do that. But can you figure out what's going on in the mind?
No.
No. Someone may be sitting there like this,
Mm.
and maybe he's thinking of something he shouldn't think of.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the external activities, but now what is the internal state? In the stage of perfection called
Perfection.
one's mind is completely restrained from material mental
Activities.
by practice of
Yoga.
This perfection is characterized by one's ability to see the
Self.
by the pure
Mind.
and to relish and rejoice in the
Self.
In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental
Happiness.
This is a happiness that has no material equivalent. Realized through transcendental
Senses.
So all of these words are transcendental happiness, transcendental senses, transcendental mind. Established thus, one never departs from the
Truth.
and upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater
Gain.
Being situated in such a position, one is never
Shaken.
even in the midst of greatest
Difficulty.
This indeed is actual
Freedom.
from all
Miseries.
arising from material
Contact.
Material contact means misery. The soul has come in contact with material energy, guaranteeing misery, one after the other, unbroken, unrelenting, birth, death. The minute you accept a body, you accept death. The minute you accept a body, you accept suffering.
Go to death.
Required.
Accept another.
Guaranteed. No escape. No prince, pauper, rich, poor, fool. They all suffer and they all die. Okay? So we will stop here. I hope you have found that chapter 6 is...
Chapter 6 was very nice.
And now you can go home and now you are in suspense. What is the rest of the chapter saying? Right? What happens to the unsuccessful yogi and what is the definition of the Now we need to have our devotees who are in the free pact here. So quickly, Raga, we could go to pact through. And please, if your materials belong to the class, please return them. I know no one here is a thief like little baby Krishna, but sometimes by mistake people put things in the bag and they carry home, and then we have to go to the And we have some extra people who can back things up easily. Try to, I think this is our last class on 6. We hardly have time to memorize stories together. The sloka that, for those of you who are trying to do Viachi someday or you like to memorize verses, is 647. Yogi Nama Sarvesham. All yogis.